Oil and water usually collect in compressed air tanks. If you do not have an automatic tank drain, when should you drain the air tanks? After every working day. What is the S-cam used for? To apply the brakes. Which of the following makes the total stopping distance for air brakes longer than for hydraulic brakes? Brake lag distance. The brake system that applies and releases the brakes when the driver uses the brake pedal is the service brake system. To make an emergency stop with air brakes using the stop braking method, you should brake as hard as you can, get off the brakes when the wheels lock, get back on the brakes when the wheels start rolling again. Brake lag distance at 55 miles per hour is blank feet. (32 feet). If your vehicle has an alcohol evaporator, it is there to reduce the risk of ice in the air brake valves in cold weather. What can legally hold a parking or emergency braking position for a truck, tractor, or a bus? Spring pressure. The braking power of the spring brakes depends on the adjustment of the service brakes. Which of the following should you do before leaving your vehicle unattended? Do all of the above. Set the parking brakes, remove the keys, and chuck the wheels. Under which conditions are front wheel brakes good? All weather conditions. If the air tanks are not drained, your brakes may fail because of water freezing. Which of the following can cause brakes to fade or fail? All of the above. Excessive use of the service brakes, not relying enough on engine braking, and brakes being out of adjustment. What is the best way to test if your vehicle's spring brakes come on automatically? All of the above are correct. Continue to step on and off the brake pedal until the manufacturer's PSI specification is met for spring brakes to engage. On single vehicles, continue to step on and off the brake pedal until the parking brake valve pops out. On tractor-trailer vehicles, continue to step on and off the brake pedal until the parking brake valve pops out. If your vehicle has a properly functioning dual air brake system and minimum sized air tanks, the air pressure should build from 85 to 100 psi within blank seconds. 45 seconds. The air compressor will stop pumping air into the air tanks at blank psi. 125 psi. An anti-lock braking system or ABS system activates when your wheels are about to lock up. Excessive heat caused by overuse of the service brakes can cause the brakes to fade. Excessive use of the service brakes may result in overheating, which can lead to expansion of the brake drums. A typical air brake system is fully charged at 125 psi. During normal driving, spring brakes are usually held back by air pressure. During your final air brake check, if the air pressure does not build up fast enough, the air pressure may drop too low during driving. To test the static air leakage rate, you should turn off the engine, release the parking brake, and let the system settle. Air brakes use blank to make the brakes work. Compressed air. When you press on the brake pedal, compressed air enters the brake chambers. The air compressor governor controls when air is pumped into the air tanks. Of the choices below, the first thing to do when a low air pressure warning comes on is stop and safely park as soon as possible. Air brake equipped vehicles must have a supply pressure gauge. Modern air brake system combines three different systems. They are the service brakes, the parking brakes, and the emergency brakes. If you must make an emergency stop, you should brake so that you stay in a straight line and can steer. The driver must be able to see a warning that is given before air pressure in the service air tanks falls below 60 psi. The most common type of foundation brakes found on heavy vehicles is the S-cam brake. When driving down a long steep hill, you should release the brake when you are 5 miles per hour below your safe speed. The modulating control valve is a spring-loaded valve that will let you put on the brakes on slowly if the service brakes fail. Which of the following will be true about your brake function and your anti-lock braking system fails? You will still have normal brake function and will just need to get the ABS repaired as soon as possible. Which of the following is not part of the braking process when you're driving a tractor-trailer combination vehicle with an anti-lock braking system? You should drive faster so that you will be able to keep the trailer and tractor straight. Which of the following are true about a dual air brake system? All of the above are true. Usually, one system operates the front axle and the other one operates the rear axle. It uses a single set of brake controls. One system is called the primary system and the other one is called the secondary system. How can you tell if your vehicle is equipped with an anti-lock braking system? Check if the vehicle was manufactured after 1998. Spring brakes are all of the above. Brakes that come on automatically on a truck or tractor when the PSI drops too low. Made up of powerful springs that are held back by air pressure while you're driving. Not going to take full effect until your PSI drops to a certain range, typically 20 to 30 psi. In the event of a brake system failure, the emergency brake system uses blank to stop the vehicle, parts of the service brakes and the parking brakes, repeatedly pressing and releasing fanning the brake pedal may result in a loss of brake air pressure, if the spring brakes are on, when should you push the brake pedal? Never. You will know that your brakes are fading if you have to press the brake pedal harder than usual to control your speed. A converter dolly with anti-lock brakes is required to have a yellow lamp on the left side. Which of the following is the most important thing about hard braking? Don't lock the wheels for longer than an instant. In controlled braking, you brake in a straight line. If oil and water collect in the air tanks, what could happen to the brakes? The brakes could fail. S-cam drum brakes have an S-cam in each brake chamber. Why is it called an S-cam? It is shaped like the letter S. To test the air service brakes, brake firmly while slowly moving forward. When can you leave your truck unattended without first applying the parking brakes or checking the wheels? Never. If your truck or bus has dual parking control valves, it means that you can use pressure from a separate tank to release the spring brakes to move a short distance. The brake pads should be blank for the brakes to be on. Against the drum. You should know that your brakes are fading when you must push harder on the brake pedal to control your speed on a downgrade. The application pressure gauge shows the driver how much pressure is being applied to the brakes. If the air compressor should develop a leak, what keeps the air in the tanks? The emergency relay valve. Why drain water from the compressed air tanks? Water can freeze in cold weather and cause brake failure. During normal driving, spring brakes are usually held back by air pressure. Brake drums must not have cracks longer than blank, the width of the friction area. So 1/2. After the initial drop, the maximum acceptable leakage rates per minute are 3 psi for single vehicles and 4 psi for combination vehicles. How do brakes work on a long, steep downgrade? They work as a supplement to the braking effect of your engine. How will you check your truck's slack adjusters? Use gloves and pull hard on each slack adjusters you can reach. The parking brake control lets the air out of the brake chambers. If the low air pressure warning signal is not working, it may lead to sudden emergency braking in a single circuit air system. Your vehicle has a dual air brake system. One of the systems loses air pressure. What will happen? Either the front or rear brakes will not be fully operational. Under ideal conditions, the average driver of a truck or bus equipped with air brakes and traveling at 55 miles per hour would require what stopping distance? More than 400 feet. Modern air brake systems are 3 different systems combined: the service brakes, the parking brakes, and blank brakes. Emergency brakes. If your truck or bus has dual parking control valves, it means that you can use pressure from a separate tank to release the spring brakes to move a short distance. The brake pads should be blank for the brakes to be on. Against the drum. If your vehicle has an alcohol evaporator, every day during cold weather, you should Check and feel the alcohol level. With S-cam drum brakes, when the brake chamber fills with air pressure pushes the push rod out, moving the blank and thus rotating the blank. Slack adjusters and the brake camshaft. In which of the following situations should you not apply the parking brakes? If the brakes are very hot. Which of the following can cause brakes to fail or fade? Overheating, low air pressure, and not relying on the engine braking effect. If you need to stop quickly and your vehicle lacks anti-lock brakes, you can use either of the above: controlled braking method or the stop braking method. Tractor and a straight truck spring brakes will come fully on when the air pressure drops to a range of 20 to 45 psi. The modulating control valve allows you to control the spring brakes. Air loss in a straight truck or bus should not be more than blank with the engine off and the brakes applied. 3 psi in 1 minute. What activates the stop switch? Air pressure. A straight truck or bus air brake system should not leak at a rate of more than blank psi per minute with the engine off and the brakes released. It's 2 psi. Vehicles with air brakes must have an air pressure gauge to show the pressure available for braking. Slack adjusters should not have any more than blank of play. One inch of play, no more than 1 inch. What is the best way to test your vehicle's low air pressure warning signal? With the engine off, step on and off the brake pedal to lower the air pressure below 60 psi. Which vehicles must have low air pressure warning signals? All vehicles with air brakes currently in operation must have low air pressure warning signals. On a long or steep downgrade, once you have reached your safe speed, brake until you are traveling five miles per hour slower. To check the slack adjusters on S-cam drum brakes, you should first park on level ground, chuck the wheels, and release the parking brakes. Before starting down a hill, you should be in the proper gear. So you can only have to apply the brake just hard enough to feel a definite slowdown. To apply the parking brakes on the normal conditions, let the air out of the brake chambers. Slack adjusters are all of the above. So between the power screw and push rod on disc brakes, a part of the air brake system that is used to adjust the brakes, between the push rod and S-cam on drum brakes. Which of the following is not part of the air brake system? Radio signal system. Air braking takes more time than hydraulic braking because air brakes need to have airflow through the lines to work. In air brake vehicles, the parking brakes should be used whenever the vehicle is parked. The brake pedal in an air brake system controls the air pressure applied to the brakes. Your vehicle has a dual air brake system. If a low air pressure warning comes on for the secondary system, you should stop, safely park, and continue only when the system is fixed. The tractor protection valve. Does all of the above. Will close automatically if the air supply drops to a certain level. Will close if you apply the parking brakes. Provides the air supply for the brake system. What is the first thing you should do if the low air pressure warning comes on? Stop. When should you use the parking brake? Every time you leave your vehicle, with a few exceptions. The supply pressure gauge shows the driver how much pressure is in the air tanks. Which of the following is not part of the drum brake? Safety valve. The safety release valve will blow at blank psi. (150 psi). In an emergency stop, you should use the stop braking method. What are spring brakes? If the air brakes leak down, springs apply the brakes to stop the vehicle.